me is Michael Schur. Michael, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
You are so welcome. So welcome. We have so much to discuss today, so many things to talk about. But I want to ask you first a question because you are, even though I always welcome you to the podcast, you are a co-host of the podcast, is what you are.
I'm a recurring guest.
You are not a recurring guest. You're a
Yeah.
co-host of the podcast. And the podcast is a lot about baseball. It's not
hmm
all about baseball, but a lot about baseball. I want to know if you've had the same experience I've had the last, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks. I've literally had many, many people come up to me kind of to congratulate me for the World Series, like kind of like
on baseball being good.
on baseball being good. Like kind of people who had just had paid no attention to baseball are just kind of like, wow, I bet that made you happy. I bet that was like really, really awesome and all of that. And I mean, I don't know. It's
I,
good, right?
I've gotten a couple people who sent me the article about how the World Series ratings were higher than the NBA Finals. I mean, any like finals in any sport that goes 7 is going to have a huge
Right,
rating at the end.
right.
But no, there has been a general sense of baseball taking a little bit of a victory lap
Yeah.
for the season, which is great because they're going to get locked out in a year and all of this goodwill will be destroyed.
well, first thing that'll happen is like the gambling will destroy baseball from within, and then they'll just destroy baseball on their own, right?
It'll be first destroyed by a thing that they allowed to have happen, and then it will be double destroyed by a thing they do to themselves. This is actually what I wanted to talk about today, is like the state of actual competition in all sports across the board right now has never been higher. Would you agree with that,
I
generally
would
speaking?
agree with that. Yes, I really would.
There are people like Shohei Ohtani and who are doing things that have never been done before in baseball. The Baseball World Series was thrilling and exciting and went 7 games, and the 7th game itself was incredible and fun. There were 2 extra inning games in the World Series. The NBA, if you watch NBA regular season action, which no one does except me, but if you watch it, if you watch it right now, you are seeing an absurd level of athleticism. And I know I say this every year, but my goodness gracious.
Another level every year.
Well, first of all, Wemby has leveled up somehow.
Yes,
Again, he's
yes.
somehow taller. He grew like 2.5 more inches. And he put the line he had last night was like 38, 12, 5 and 5 blocks and 6 3-pointers made. And I, of course, immediately went to Basketball Reference and checked to make sure that no one's ever had that game before. And the answer was, of course, no one's ever had that game.
Of course.
No one has
that. He does that.
He does it every night. He
Every
set
night.
some kind of new precedent or new record essentially every night.
Yes.
But also the Philadelphia 76ers, who were absolutely left for dead because they extended Joel Embiid for like 12 years and $240 billion, and he immediately can't play. And they traded for Paul George, and he has a 4-year max deal that's, $55 million a year. He can't play either. They draft VJ Edgecombe, who turns out to be like an all NBA level player in his rookie year.
Yeah,
already.
Year. Right.
And he and Tyrese Maxey in their backcourt not only can you not stop them, you can't see them on the court. They're moving too fast. They're like the people in Tron. They move too fast, and all you can see is like a laser trail,
light trail
from where they were moving through the defense. And this is true of so many teams. There are players that people forgot, like Alexander Sarr on the Wizards, who's like incredible. There's just the level of play is bananas. Last night, also, the worst team in professional sports, the Miami Heat, pulled off a 0.4 of a second game winner by running the old elevator doors play. You know that play?
Yes.
It's like a high school play where like there's 2 guys set up and their defenders are nearby, and then someone runs through them as if they're elevator doors and goes to the rim, except they ran it as a decoy where a guy ran the other way away from the basket.
Right.
And then the guy on the outside set a screen basically as another guy came around and went up for an uncontested lob. And you're like, this is the NBA. How do you run it's literally like the Hoosiers picket fences play was run in the NBA and worked. So the point is, NBA action,
Fantastic.
fantastic, as it always
Fantastic.
has been. Baseball, never been better. Football, week to week, lots of variation, but like also
Well,
incredible
we are
play in the
seeing okay,
NFL.
but before we took, because I do, there's something I want to
This is
mention.
all set up for a complaint I have, but but
Well,
go
no,
ahead.
because I specifically want to mention something about football. But before we do that, we have a special guest with us that we're
Oh,
going to bring in who
I'm mid
will.
rant though.
I know. That's why I had to cut you off because it's we have a guest. We're joined by delightful Molly Knight. Molly is popping in. Hi, Molly.
Hi, guys.
We were
Hello,
going to
Molly.
let you in earlier, but Mike was mid rant,
I
and
I
we
th-
cannot.
this it's great that Molly's here because I'm going to complete this rant now, and Molly's the perfect person to weigh in on this.
Yes.
The point I'm making, which should have taken 30 seconds and so far has taken 8 minutes,
And
is
we'll go a lot longer.
is that across sports,
I can't wait.
things have never been better. They get better every year. The level of competition is better in every sport every year. It's incredible, and also sports right now feels more precarious than I think it has in my lifetime because every single sporting event, every podcast about sports except for this one is wall to wall
Gambling.
FanDuel betting odds,
Oh.
DraftKings betting odds.
Yep.
Every sport is this guy, these two, Terry Rozier, like out. Like Emmanuel Clase threw pitches that were so bad that no one but Andy Pajes could swing at them, and he
Only
swung at
Andy
them anyway.
Pajes, yeah.
And gamblers lost money. And it feels right now like we are in a zone where the if you just want to enjoy sports, you are out of luck because every sport is now on a semi-regular basis being hit with a gambling scandal, and every broadcast that you watch has a ticker that never goes away that says, like, if you want a live bet, go to ESPN bet, go to FanDuel, go to DraftKings, whatever. And I don't see how we get out of this.
Well,
It's a huge, huge bummer.
it's a huge bummer. Molly, I want to have you weigh in a minute, but I do want to say something because it just so happens, and I didn't mean for this to turn in any way into a promo, but I'm going to turn into a promo because literally today I sent out a note on my newsletter to everybody, basically saying exactly what you're saying, which is help us be like the oasis in this world, because I don't think there's just not many people left. Newspapers are dead, magazines are dead. Everybody who is successful in the podcasting world, in the broadcast world, is totally in bed with gambling because they have to be. That's the only place that there's money. And this world of independent media that Molly and I live in, we've got to find a way to like expand it. So I literally wrote this just today. I sent out a note saying we are trying to expand the mission, trying to build this up, trying to find new voices, trying to create this place, because I think we all feel this. And the gambling thing is the most insidious of it all, because you can talk about it as much as we want about how terrible it is, how it's ruining lives, how it's taking the joy out of sports. It's Molly will tell you, or we'll get Molly to talk about how it's affecting players. I mean, it's awful, but yet in your heart it can't change. They opened it. The genie is out. So Molly, what do you think?
I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, I remember it. I read there was an article in the LA Times. I think it was the LA Times. It was a really, really good article talking to addiction experts about how we are not prepared as a society. This gambling rush with no regulations, no rules, nothing, no warnings, is exactly like what happened when opioids came in. And we are not prepared for it. We're not prepared for the number, like the bankruptcies, the suicides, the divorces, the imprisonment, because if people are addicted to gambling, they lose money. They commit crimes to pay off their debt.
Sure.
And So I think you're right. I mean, I think that right now it's really bleak, and people are going to keep going down for it, and eventually they're going to have to come up with some kind of rules or laws or make it harder, like they made OxyContin, I guess, harder to get. I've never had it, but you know, I mean, it's just it's awful. It's
I
awful.
think it's this is a controversial thing to say. I think the threat is actually higher than something like a prescription drug, for the simple reason that if you are watching TV and and there's an ad that says like, hey, if you have pain, take this opioid, and you could just pick this up and hit a button and
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah.
then a lot more people would be addicted to opioids than already are. And
Right.
I have this thing where my son, who's 17, is like, is now consuming an enormous number of sports podcasts. And he came into my office last night and was like, let's play Guess the Lines, which is the thing Simmons does every week on his podcast. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to do that, because I don't want you to get any joy out of the idea of like engaging with this. And it feels like moralistic at some level, and it feels like overprotective a little bit. And then on the other side, I'm like, no, it's not. This is like just parenting. Like I know him. I know his personality. I know how much he loves sports. And I know that if he put $20 on Drake May over 265 yards in the game on Thursday night against the Jets, and he won $15 or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
that, it's like that is the equivalent of like doing a drug for the
It's a
first
drug.
time.
Of course it is. Here's what I don't. Well, I mean, I think that there's a fascinating sort of story to tell about how this happened, because here's what I would say. For 75 to 100 years, sports kind of knew about the dangers of gambling. I mean, it's not like this is. I mean, 1919 is more than 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So you've got that. You have all of the college basketball scandals, CCNY, and all that sort of thing. You've got, obviously Pete Rose. You got, so constantly throughout history, sports leagues have had to deal with gambling, and then partly because it became legal, but also partly because they sort of, because of technology, put it in a much prettier box. So it doesn't feel like you're going to a bookie and it's a dirty whatever. Now it's just like, oh, it's just on my phone, and look, LeBron is talking about it, and they're doing funny commercials, and it's great, and I can do this, and it takes 1 second, and it's just a few bucks and whatever. I mean, it's the same gambling, it's the same dangers, but it's in this different box. And it's like all the leagues went, yeah, we're in. Look at this. There's a lot of money to be made here, and it's shameful, is what it is, I think.
There's an article in Defector today by Albert Bernico, who writes about J. Caspian Kang's article in the New Yorker.
Yeah.
I think it's in the New Yorker, where Kang is basically saying like, who cares? Kang is like a legendary contrarian. Like,
Yes.
that's all Kang ever says is who cares, or you're wrong. And it's often delightful. And he's an excellent writer, but he has a very difficult to defend piece about sports betting. And the central thesis of it, such as there is one, is like, this has always been around and we've always known about it. And also, who really cares? And like, everybody assumes that this is happening anyway, that these games are being fixed or whatever. And Bernico kind of tears him a new one and basically goes, he like Fire Joe Morgan's it a little bit and goes through like line by line and like points out the fallacies involved in the arguments. And it's worth reading. I recommend it to everyone. But the larger point here is that the people who are arguing in favor of gambling have that general attitude, which is like, the arguments you hear are things like, it's better this way because the casinos
it's out
track
there.
The weird bets. That's how they caught Terry Rozier. And that's how they caught those guys who were like paying off their prop unders or whatever. My response to that would be like, the casinos would catch that anyway.
Yes.
Like if people were making those bets in the casinos and you didn't have everyone didn't have the app on their phone, they would catch that anyway. And B, there's value with something like sports in you have to make the people watching it feel as though what's happening is legitimate, that it's actual competition.
Of course.
As soon as that stuff leaks in, you start I start feeling like, well, what's the point of watching this? I want to watch this Cavs Heat game because I want to see if Eric Spoelstra can draw up the old elevator doors play in the last 10th of a second and have it work. But if it starts to be like, well, there's like 2 guys on that team who were like point shaving and there's a weird injury
and the
at the last.
referee is involved. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
like exactly. The lines moved from +7.5 to -1.5, which is like, what the hell is that about? I don't like if you make me track that stuff too, and you don't allow me to just enjoy what's happening on the court, I start to get less interested. Even as nutty as I am about sports, like I'll just start to lose interest because it'll start to not feel like sports. It starts to feel like theater that is playing out thanks to the corrupt workings of a group of people who were pulling strings on a marionette that I did not pay to watch. Like it's just I know that's a tortured metaphor, but that's the real problem with this to me is like the longer this goes on and the more of these scandals that there are, the more it starts to feel like, well, what's the point of watching?
Well, and I'll throw one other thing, and I want to go to Molly, but I'll throw in another thing about this, which is who cares that we caught Terry Rozier? You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, he did wrong and they caught him or whatever, but he's just a scapegoat. He's not a scapegoat because he did it, but he's just one tiny, tiny piece. Like the bosses aren't getting caught. Like the people who are up at the top of these things are not getting caught. They're getting rich. They're just getting bigger and bigger. And the more I have to listen to watch the World Series and have them tell me like what the chances are that
don't want to know what
I don't care how many pitches. Oh, will Yamamoto throw 100 pitches?
The line opened at Dodgers, over the over under was 7.5 and now it's 9.5 in the fourth inning. And you can bet on that right now. Leave me alone. Like there were so many people for so long who were like, keep politics out of sports, or keep this out of sports, keep that out of sports. Can we not focus the keep this out of sports energy on that? Like, that's the thing that shouldn't be in sports.
100%. Molly, what do you think?
Can we talk about, I don't know how much you've talked about Andy Pajes, but can we talk about how he had like a Forrest Gump like season this year?
One of the craziest weeks/years in history in terms of weird events.
But also just like him being bad, like first, the first thing that happened was he hit that ball to Orion Kerkering. I mean, he broken bat, easy comebacker with bases loaded because he couldn't connect with anything. It was a miracle he even made contact. And then Kerkering throws the ball away. It's this horrible, horrible thing, and we're all worried about his mental health. The Phillies lose. That was Pajes who hit it. It was Pajes who ran over Kike Hernandez.
Ran over him.
With 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th of Game 7 of the World Series, and the bases loaded. And
put in 1 second before for
literally as a defensive replacement.
8 pitches before he was put in. And then we find out it was him who unwittingly helped foil the biggest, gambling scandal in baseball. I don't know how long.
And not just unfoil. Can there be a more Andy Pajes
embarrassing
way?
It's the most embarrassing way to be involved in a gambling scandal.
At a pitch that was intended to be a ball. I mean, that's
Clase tried to throw a pitch that no one would swing at. And
how many people like would be like at the core? Like who would be at the core? Like
Javi Baez.
The first name would be the first.
Cedane Rafaela you got to throw him in there.
Yeah. Andy Pajes is
Andy Pajes, he swung at it. God bless, the ball bounced like 5 feet in front of him in the dirt. He still swung at it. And then after the game, these text messages from Clase and his co-conspirators like with sad faces.
Yeah, sad puppy face. I would say Giancarlo Stanton would be a candidate if you threw a slider far enough outside.
But that's the thing is like, remember, you're trying to throw a ball they're not going to swing at. So it wouldn't be that pitch. It would be like thrown in the dirt, or
you'd spike it.
Yeah, you'd spike it.
Like maybe he's too good. Maybe the ball like looked like a straw. I mean, maybe
I don't think so. I think only Andy Pajes thought it was a ball.
I think you got to throw it up over his head. Like that's the pitch that almost no major league ball that leaves
up and way outside.
Yeah.
But again, at some point you are trying to like maybe sort of hide the fact that you are like working with gamblers. You got to make
I
it
don't think
look.
he tried that hard. If he's like
Why
texting with the gamblers after the game.
have we talked about why was he even doing this for? I mean,
For
forget the
like nothing.
morality
What was
stuff.
it, like $5,000 or
Yeah,
something?
forget the morality stuff. Like, why was he doing this for such little money? Like, are we gonna
I
find out he owed the bookie? Like, it was a problem, or he was blackmailing?
This is the other shoe that maybe is going to drop. There is a very unpleasant history of foreign ball players getting like
Yes,
against their will having to
yes,
do things
Oh
like
yeah,
usually it's
yeah,
Venezuela. I believe Clase is
exactly.
Dominican, right? I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we don't know. We don't know what the other half of that story is. It might have just been greed. It might have been something where he got on the wrong side of somebody. I mean,
right.
everyone is always posting that picture of Ovechkin with Putin
Right.
and being like, screw
Yeah,
that guy. And it's like, hey, if I were the biggest Russian athlete star
Right.
in the world,
Yeah.
I would absolutely be posing for a
You
picture with
you would not
Vladimir
be saying
Putin.
screw that guy. That
Yeah.
would not be
Yeah.
happening.
If I were like every day of my life were like out in public in a very famous and recognizable way, I would not be necessarily doing everything I could to piss off a murderous dictator, right?
No,
So
no.
I don't know. I don't have any idea what the story is. I will say that that's the part of me that wants to
yeah. It
like
doesn't add up.
ask
It
Because it
for,
doesn't.
doesn't add up. Because from
yeah.
a
It
money
doesn't add up.
standpoint, it's just, you're right. It's not even a morality thing. It's like
No,
when you're making
it's
$5 million a year, what is like
right.
5 grand
What's
for,
40 grand? Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Right. You're
and
right,
that's
Mike.
total, right? Like there wasn't 40 grand in one shot. It was like 5 grand a year and 7 grand there.
Right.
And
Because
it's,
yes, because some of these players are human trafficked, out of
oh,
basically out of their home countries.
Yep.
They're smuggled to
well, that's the other thing is
essentially
literally he could been it could have been to pay back somebody who helped make his path,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it's
right. I just feel like there's a story here, and until we know what it is, I'm reserving all judgment about the
right. And
motivation.
that's I feel exactly the same way. Look, I obviously, those are the guys that are going to take the hits and because they're up front. That's part of what I mean by the scapegoat thing. Again, it's not what they did is wrong and they should pay the price for it. I'm not saying that, but I am saying they are just tiny parts of this much, much larger thing. I mean, does anybody on earth think this is where it ends? Of course not, right?
Well, this is my question, I guess, is like the toothpaste is out of the tube. This aspect of sports for the short term and probably long term is ruined.
Right.
And the question is anybody going to do literally anything? Are they going to do one thing about this? For example, right now, in 1 second, all casinos and online gambling sites could say, okay, no more prop unders. They could
Right.
just do that. They could
Right.
just eliminate the prop under as a bet, and then you're removing a major way for this kind of stuff to happen because no one's betting on Jonte Porter unders anymore,
Well,
which means
as Molly will tell you, really great move by MLB to make it so that not that
yeah,
you can't bet on pitches, but now you can't bet more than $200 on
and it can't
pitches.
be in a parlay.
It
Yeah.
can't be in a parlay. I mean, that's because when you say, are they going to do something? That's the first thing they did is like,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
And like just make it so that just limit the number of literal like slot machine bets of just people hitting a button and going bet. If you
Well,
limit that, if you just limit that, it would be something. It would be a gesture toward the idea
Yeah.
that we're not just going to try to suck money out of the sports watching public. I saw a stat that you may have also seen, which is that in 2024, I think the amount of money bet on sports was higher than the combined amount of money that was spent on like music, movies, streaming
Saw that
services,
too.
like all like every other form of entertainment, video games, like combined.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like $168 billion or something like that. And like this is like a blood sucking leech situation where these companies are going to happily destroy the host. This parasite will destroy the host if it means that they increase their profits by a certain
Sure,
amount.
of course.
And the leagues have opened the door to this. They've invited them in with the idea that like, no, it's actually good to partner with them and we share the revenue and blah, 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 blah. The leagues now have to go like, okay, wait, hang on a second. Hang on. There needs to be
will
rules
they?
to this.
But will
I
they?
don't think so, but that's what they should do.
Molly, will they?
They'll keep doing these tiny little
That's what I
tweaks,
think.
and because this is their main, like, they have Rob Manfred has two ideas for growth, for revenue growth, and the first one is gambling and the second is Japan. That's it. So, in terms of like they figure that they're tapped out on all the other stuff. Like they've got the Americans who want to watch baseball or whatever, so now they have to bring in the people who enjoy gambling. So now they're going to watch baseball because they like to bet on it, right? And then they can still expand in Japan, and they can try to send, they're going to have to send some of these guys to East Coast teams and Midwest teams so that they can have Japanese base, I'm sorry, MLB on in Japan all day long in every time zone. Like that's the goal now. So like when people are like, oh, the MLB is going to send all these guys to the Dodgers. No, they're not if they want to make more money, which is what they want to do. They have to have, different, they have to have like a Hideki Matsui, for the Yankees and an Ichiro for the Mariners. So they can have, programming all day long and sell those TV rights. So
yeah, I mean, they've got the Cubs and they've got the Dodgers. And they I think, to me, I would not be at all surprised if there were some major East Asian international signings on the Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies this year, this offseason. Like that seems like the next move.
It just feels though like such a bummer and by the way, all of this is way too meaningful for the podcast. We are going to have to move on to something much more meaningless, I think, it's in a very short period of time. But the one thing I will say is that it's such a bummer that MLB has just given up on America as a baseball. Like it really has. I mean, I think way you treat the minor leagues, the way that he keeps talking about expansion. That's not coming.
Joe, you're forgetting one very important thing.
Oh, what's that?
Rob Manfred hates baseball.
Oh,
he's actively trying to destroy it. He's literally. No, I don't think I know a single person who actively hates baseball more than the commissioner of baseball. I think he despises it. I think
Molly, I texted Mike in the I think 12th inning of the big 18-inning game.
Oh, God.
I texted Mike and said, do you think Rob Manfred is still watching? And Mike's response was, no. I don't think he was ever watching.
He watched. He stuck around for the first couple innings and was like, text me when it's over, and then went to sleep. Molly, what are the chances right now, as you sit here, that there is a baseball lockout in 1 year? Set the odds. Set the FanDuel DraftKings odds for us.
100%.
100%, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're already, I mean, Molly can tell you too. They've already gone to the mattresses. I mean, they're already planning buyouts. I think MLB is all in on doing this, which I mean, it's such a smart thing, baseball coming off of its most like electric World Series in forever.
Yeah.
It's such an exciting time.
There's a non-zero chance that Shohei Ohtani in 1 year will have won his 5th MVP in 6 years across 2 teams, and that the Dodgers will be going for a 4-peat. There's that's a very, very likely possibility.
Yeah,
he might,
absolutely.
in fact, Shohei might have won his 5th MVP and first Cy Young, and the Dodgers will have 3-peated. And then it'll be like, okay, yeah, we're shutting this down.
We're shutting this puppy down. We're shutting this puppy down.
I have to tell you guys, my aunt, who is not a sports fan, but is aware of sports because my uncle watches sports. She goes, they live in Orange County. They live in San Clemente. And she goes, so wait, you're telling me Shohei Ohtani was on the Angels for 6 years?
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, he was. She goes, well, was he good? I said, yes, he was winning the MVP award. She had no idea. Like people know who he is. Like they know who LeBron James is. Or, I mean, it's not.
Well,
they finally have that person, right?
Oh, and they have him in the right place. I mean, like Shohei was always that person, but you can't be that person for the Angels. You
No.
just can't.
No,
You
he had to
cannot.
Well,
be-
the problem is that the Angels accidentally, and this is I think one of Artie Moreno's biggest failures. When Artie Moreno bought the team, he bought all of the predator technology that makes the players invisible to the human eye. So even if you watch Angels games, they just look like kind of heat disturbances.
you don't actually see.
You can't actually see the players. So like you see the ball like flying around and stuff, but they're all predators.
It's crazy. It reminds me of like, the Cleveland Browns drafting quarterbacks. Sorry.
Wait, what? Wait, what? What are you talking about? What is this?
It reminds me of when like players on the Browns, the quarterbacks on the Browns, like go somewhere else, and then it's like, oh yeah,
and then Baker Mayfield is good actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the Jets, where it's like, oh, Sam Darnold is like playing at an MVP level now for another team.
Right. I mean, yeah.
But the difference is he
Ohtani
was that good with the Angels. Like it wasn't like anybody was surprised. He signed the biggest contract in baseball history because I mean nobody was like surprised.
Yeah, no one cared. We cared. The three of us cared. Japan cared.
Cared.
Normal like normie Americans didn't know who he was.
Normie Americans didn't know who he was, and I think baseball fans only knew what he was for the whole tungsten arm. Like oh look what Shohei hit 3 home runs and threw a shutout, and they lost somehow. I mean, it's just.
But this is the exact problem with the lockout, right? I mean, it's one of the many problems with the lockout. You can be, if you're Victor Wembanyama, you can end up in San Antonio and everyone knows who you are because you are, they arrange it so that your games are featured games. He's playing on Christmas this year.
It's NFL.
Wemby's playing on Christmas because they have these mechanisms to get people in front of America.
You can play anywhere in the NFL. Anywhere in the NFL and be a super duper star. Right.
I mean, the MVP of the league right now might be a running back in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like it's obviously there are differences in the number of games and stuff and whatever, but like an MLB has finally in the last few years figured out a way to play like the Field of Dreams game or whatever, where there's like an event around it. But you know what's amazing? You know who hasn't played in the Field of Dreams game? Shohei Ohtani. And when he was in Anaheim, how did they not arrange it? So that it was like, we're going to put you, it's going to be Yankees, Angels, and we need you, Anaheim, to arrange it so that Shohei pitches in one of those games and tries to hit a home run into the corn. Like they just haven't done any of that stuff. They had in the first Field of Dreams game, which Joe and I were at.
We were there.
Yankees, White Sox had an Aaron Judge home run, ended with a Tim Anderson walk off. Incredible game. Incredible game. You know who played there the second year? Do you remember?
The Reds and
the Reds. What are we doing?
Was that the game? What was the game with the game they had at the NASCAR stadium? And
God, that was this year. That was this past year.
And it was just pouring rain.
Pouring rain.
They ran out of beer like 2 minutes in. This is we can go all day on MLB's incompetence. The MLB does that NASCAR game. It was a complete fiasco. The stinking Savannah Bananas did a game in a NASCAR thing and had 110,000 people there. I mean, like what is how could you be this bad at this? It's amazing. But I think the scariest thing about the lockout to me is whether they're right or not. I think owners smell blood when it comes to the players.
Yes.
I think they feel the players are not unified. They feel like they've got a real opening to make this salary cap happen. And so I think they're all in. That's why when you say what percentage, like I think
what's a good way to unify? You know what's a really good way to unify the players? Tell Bryce Harper that if he crosses Rob Manfred, he'll end up dead in a ditch. And watch what happens.
Can you believe that Mark DeRosa said that? He thought he thought he was telling a joke. He
thought he was telling a joke. Who the guy at MLB?
No, that was Mark DeRosa who said that.
Oh, it was Mark DeRosa who said that?
Yes. So this was reported on by Evan Drellick and
The Athletic. Yeah.
A long time ago. They wrote that was the DeRosa. It was the gist of what he said was watch your back or whatever. So it finally came out what it was that he had said. So, and then DeRosa was like, well, I just thought, I thought I had a closer relationship with some of these guys that I could joke around.
Oh
and that
boy.
people wouldn't take it as a threat.
By the
He's
way,
the
I
guy
do think it was a joke. Of
It
course, it
was,
was a joke.
but he's
I
the
mean,
manager of Team USA. Why is he walking around carrying water for the commissioner? And he's a fucking
right,
player.
right.
I don't know. It read as a joke to me.
I thought it
I
was
was
a
like,
joke.
it's
Yeah.
very hard to believe that anybody would say that for real and be able to keep a straight face. However, the point is that like the players fought for Marvin Miller and the players fought for how many decades to level the playing field between it's the famous is it Tug McGraw who said the owner screwed us for 50 years, so we're gonna spend the next 50 years screwing them or
Right,
whatever.
right.
I misquoted that. But the point is like you really think that now after you've like the game is like expanded to the Far East and you have Shohei and you have all this momentum and the pitch clock has fixed things and attendance is up and all that stuff. You think now is the time to go to the players and say like, we just don't have that much money. We got to put in a
Yeah.
salary cap. Like, how do you
But
think that's going to go over? And the players have no choice but to say no. They can't just roll over. Like,
No.
I mean, they're going to like you're going to ruin, in theory, you're going to ruin Shohei Ohtani's age 33 season and Mookie Betts' age 35 season and Bryce Harper's age 33 season. You're going to these guys who are like at the tail end of their absolute primes.
And you're going to ruin primes of Paul Skeens and Tarek
And
Skubal
Roman Anthony's third year and Garrett Crochet's third year as a starter.
It's shameful and it's like inevitable. That's the thing that's like it doesn't even feel like there's any way to go because look, the players are not going to agree to a salary cap. It's just not.
No.
So where else does this go? If they're not going to agree to a salary cap, the owners are not going to come together and go, hey, you know what? We've got a good thing going here in baseball. Maybe we should try to keep it. They're not going to do that. They're going to be like, we have them. We believe that the people are on our side. I do hear, Molly, I know you hear it all the time from people who are like, oh, you know what? It was a great World Series, but the Dodgers buy everybody. I can't have it. I can't have it.
They bought Andy Pages,
Yeah, well, that was obviously that was the key.
And
Which is nonsense. It is. It's nonsense. The Dodgers are just smarter than everybody, and they caught a great wave. And
lost.
Absolutely.
Buy a championship in this sport. If you could, the Padres would have one. The Mets would have won a couple of years ago. Like you can't do it. The Yankees only have one championship since what 2000.
Yeah,
and Mike, that was the.
We prefer to say they have none since 2009. That's what we prefer.
That was the swine flu championship. They won that championship because the Phillies got the swine flu. So
yeah,
it's true. It is true.
Yeah.
Ask Pedro Martinez about it.
Yeah,
they have not won a 25. Well, okay. Besides that one, they've won one in 25 years.
Yeah.
So yes, you can buy your way into the playoffs. You can't buy a championship. You can't.
Well, it's the only time I'll ever quote Derek Jeter.
Oh, here it is.
He used to say the best teams make the playoffs and the hottest team wins it. And that's what makes the playoffs fun is that just because you were the best regular season team doesn't say anything. And that, by the way, that's true, of course, of every sport, right? It's true of football too. The Bengals made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago because they got hot.
It's less true of football.
It's less true. And also there's more variance in baseball because of multiple game series instead of one game tournaments or whatever.
Right.
But the point is like you can have teams with relatively small payrolls and teams with relatively big payrolls. And if the team with a relatively small payroll has a couple pitchers who get real hot, that team's going to win. And that's what makes the sport fun. It's what makes the playoffs fun. This year, the playoffs were really fun. There was a lot of great stuff that happened. And the idea that right now, everyone is just like, well, in a year, we're shutting this down.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's malpractice at the highest level. Like the idea that they're not getting together and saying like, guys, like, come on. Like you bend a little, we'll bend a little, and we'll keep this gravy train rolling. I just cannot believe that they're going to let this happen, and they totally are.
Oh, for sure.
But Joe's right. They smell blood in the water at the Players Union. I mean, Tony Clark's tenure is not.
They just had that recent scandal too with the with the players not appearing for their charity or whatever. I mean, it's. They smell it. They smell the blood. Yeah, they smell blood in the water.
Anybody listening to this, I understand right now, like things are really tough and there's a huge divide between the haves and the have-nots. And I get it, like that people will think players are greedy. But anybody who's being hoodwinked into believing the owners. Just say, okay, open your books, prove to me, show me that you're, listen, if it's true, if you're drowning in debt, if you can't afford this, show us, and okay, we'll consider your.
And by the way, if you're drowning in debt and can't afford this, sell. Okay, there are billionaires out there that'll be happily buy your thing
Privately
tomorrow.
behind the scenes, they're telling everyone that they all took on massive debt in COVID because they still had to pay the salaries. I'm just telling you what.
Oh, I know. No, you're 100% right.
My reaction to that is, oh dear, let's see how bad it is. Like that's my reaction. Open the books, and they won't do it.
Well, the other thing to say is, what is the last time, and I legitimately don't know the answer to this. What is the last time anyone in American sports sold a franchise and at the end of the day had less money than they had when they bought the franchise?
Oh, sure. That happened back in 1923.
I was probably sometime in the 40s or something. Like, did the St. Louis Browns sell it?
I think like it's possible that, like,
I mean, it certainly hasn't happened.
Might have lost money on.
It certainly hasn't happened in any major sport in
50 years, for sure.
60 years, and so even if you are, oh no, we've taken on so much debt, it's only through accounting that you're able to claim that. The answer is, like, you've written off so much stuff, all these tax loopholes, all this depreciation that's just fake. It's all fake accounting. You're not actually, I don't know if you saw that there's a thing of the other day of, like, the baseball teams in terms of the amount of revenue they took in and the amount of expenditure on salaries. And like the Pittsburgh Pirates are like a wildly profitable enterprise.
Of course they are.
Just insanely profitable enterprise because of all the revenue sharing and everything else. And because they've got a nice ballpark and people like to go to it and buy beer and hot dogs.
Colorado, same thing. By the way,
these teams make so much money.
They do. But this also leads to my other, we've talked about this on the podcast before, Molly. My big theory, which is they shouldn't make any money. Owners, to own a baseball team, a sports team of any kind, is such a privilege. You get to be the big man in town. You get to be like, basically everybody's courting you. You get all of these incredible tax breaks and benefits and everything else. I think you don't deserve a dime. You shouldn't, like, if you want to sell it and make money on because your team went up, that's fine. I've always thought, why do I care if the guy who owns the Boston Red Sox makes any money? I don't care. He shouldn't make any money. He makes plenty of money in the rest of his life. I think we've just lost the plot. Like, this is never supposed to be a money-making operation where, hey, I want to buy a team so I can make millions and billions of dollars. That's never been the point. The point of buying a team is you already made it. You're already incredibly rich. And this is like, it's like buying a piece of art. It's like, maybe someday you'll sell it and make money on it. Good for you. But you shouldn't make money at all on these things. I think the whole thing is a scam.
For the record, the Pirates, this is Forbes and SpotTrack payroll data. The Pirates had $326 million in revenue and spent $112 million on salaries. So it's basically a third of their revenue was payroll.
So
the Marlins, and obviously payroll isn't your only expense, obviously, but also,
but it's your biggest expense.
Big.
It's your biggest expense.
The Marlins, $317 million in revenue, $86 million in payroll. That's 27%. The Mets, $444 million in payroll, $400 million in payroll plus tax. So that's 90% of the revenue went to payroll. They still had more revenue than payroll.
Right.
And the Dodgers, here's the crazy one. The Dodgers, $549 million in payroll and tax, $752 million in revenue.
Oh yeah.
That's
more.
three quarters of their, But like, there isn't a single team that where their payroll was higher than, and payroll plus tax was higher than their revenue. Not one.
No, of course not. No, like I say, the whole thing's a scam. The whole thing to me feels like a scam. And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I mean,
and the Dodgers, like, some people are speculating that the Guggenheim Group, they are running it like a fun thing, but it's also propping up their their main business, because now they have Guggenheim branding all over Japan.
100%. That's the other thing. There's so much passive money to be made because you own a sports team. Like you can get a meeting with anybody you want. You can get celebrities and to come. And I mean,
if one of them wanted to be the ambassador to France in the next presidential term, they could be the ambassador to France. Like it opens every door in the world when you're
every single door.
And that's, by the way, true of these business and civic leaders in each city in which they live, right? Like if you are the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the city of Pittsburgh, a great U.S. city, no one turns, you go wherever you want, you do whatever you want, you go to any restaurant, you go to, you meet with anyone you want, you park wherever you want. Nobody, if a cop pulls you over, you're not getting a ticket. I mean, it's like, it's on its own. It is the best job in the world.
100%.
And for them to shut down the sport because they're not making enough of a revenue boost between their revenue and their expenses. They're making X and they need Y. It's unconscionable, and they should all be fired into the sun.
They really should.
They should be put on Blue Origin, and it should be a one-way trip.
I didn't think I would feel like I needed a cigarette before 10 a.m. I don't even know.
No, it's the best.
I just think they're gonna blow it. I think they're gonna blow it super hard. I think baseball in the since COVID has been on this long, slow journey toward fun and excitement and a place in the American culture that it's not what it was in the 90s or the 1950s, but it's getting back to the point where people are like, hey, this is fun. The sport is fun and cool, and it's fun to watch. The playoffs are fun, and they do fun special events, and it's going to be 1994 again. Well, they're going to blow it so hard.
Well, in 1994, it wasn't as good as it is right now. Molly, that's what we started the podcast. I don't know if you heard us at the beginning, but I said, I've had people come up to me over the last 2 weeks, congratulating me, because it's like, oh man, that must have been awesome. I mean, look, what a great scene. I mean, people that don't even follow baseball. I mean, it broke through it at the 18-inning game, and everything that followed it really broke through into like the zeitgeist, which baseball never does anymore. And it broke through, and people are like, oh man, that must have been what was that World Series good enough for you? How about that? Wasn't that awesome? And they're just going to be like, yeah, this seems like a good time to shut the game down. Let's give gamblers a little more say in what we do. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why. Why aren't we running the sport? Why are we not running the sport?
Well, we're not blood-sucking sociopaths. Is probably
I guess that is a positive.
That is offering to manage the Rockies, but it calls me back. I've been thinking about why that World Series was so good.
Yeah, talk to us.
And I don't know. I mean, Mike, you work in Hollywood, and you when something is yeah, I've heard he does. And it's like sometimes there's some intangible weird. This series had charisma, there's a weird thing. And I think it was a mix of Ohtani and Guerrero both being really likable and being so good. And it really feeling like a World Series, because all of Canada was so excited, and it made me super sad that the Expos no longer exist, because clearly that country can support two teams,
Yeah, sure, for sure.
And it's 7 games and all the stuff, and the 18 games, and
I think the flow of the games had a lot to do with it, right? Like if you think about Game 7, it's like the Dodgers have clawed their way back. They won Game 6, and then Bichette hits a 3-run homer early, and that crowd is losing its mind. And then the Dodgers, who cannot hit, the entire team forgot how to hit at the same time, chip away in this really professional manner of just clawing a run, sack fly, kind of hitting the ball the other way, kind of away, and eventually catch up. And then Toronto goes ahead, and then the unlikely hero in the 9th with Rojas hitting the home run. It was a classic rope-a-dope. Everyone is staring at Ohtani on deck, and Rojas goes deep. I could not believe what I was seeing. It wasn't just baseball games that are close have a number of ways of being close. If you go back to the 2004 ALCS Game 1, when Schilling got rocked, Yankees like were up 9-0 or whatever, 8-0 in like the first inning. The final score of that game, it's like a 1-run game.
Yeah,
The final score of that game is like 10-9 or something. And because the Red Sox like scored 4, and then the Yankees scored 1, and then the Red Sox scored 2, and then they scored 2 more. And then Rivera came in and shut him down. And so you look at that game and it's like a 9-8 finish or whatever. And you're like, whoa, cool game. No, it was a boring as hell game.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so the difference between that game and a game that's 5-4, where there's 4 lead changes, is all night and day. And I think that it wasn't just that the games were close, that the series was close. It was the way that it was close and the flow of everything that made it so exciting.
I agree. I also thought there was something about this series that was really cool, which was there was a very like clear line through all 7 games. What the Blue Jays had to do, everybody understood it. Get to that bullpen. If you get to the bullpen, you can win. That's how you win the series. You get past, and so with that clear line through, how exciting is it to see Yamamoto throw a complete game, right? Like the bullpen doesn't even then. And then how exciting is it for 18 innings, you're in that bullpen and you can't score, and they're throwing guys out there they haven't seen in months and you can't score. And then next game, and every game had that same starting point, and that's why game 7, they score early, and it's like, oh wow, that's it. They're going to get to the bullpen and they're going to win this game, and the Dodgers can't hit. And so I just felt like there was Mike works in Hollywood. So
I do.
I've heard this, but it was a story. It wasn't just games. It wasn't just like things that didn't connect. There was like a clear storyline from game 1 all the way through game 7. And I can't remember the last series that was like that. That's what I thought was special about it.
Also, just like I started the year, I mean, I was in Tokyo. You guys were supposed to go and then bailed.
Yes, we were. We bailed you on that. Yeah.
I was in Tokyo in March, and like the season started out like completely jet lagged, completely screwed up. Mookie Betts had some mystery virus and had to fly home.
God, that was
I'm
crazy.
thinking to myself, like, how the hell is this team going to repeat? And that's not forget, they started last season in Korea. They're like the little, the global ambassador. And then, they cruise through the NLCS, and, they make it whatever, because the Brewers,
poor Brewers, man.
Their manager couldn't stop talking about how broken bad his players were. And it didn't work.
Poor
like,
Brewers,
that's surprising. Yeah. But then the morning of the World Series game 1, they announced this horrible. Well, they didn't announce what happened, but they announced that their best reliever.
Oh, it was terrible. What a sad story.
Okay, so we all kind of assumed, something bad had happened with his family. Well, it turned out, as they announced later, his baby, his infant daughter, died between games 2 and 3. The Dodgers were in Toronto games 1 and 2, flew internationally back to LA. Many of the players and their wives went to Cedars-Sinai that day to comfort the Vessias. And then the next day was the 18-inning game.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder they looked in games 4 and 5, they looked absolutely flattened. We didn't know that part of it. We didn't know that part. Well, of course. And it makes what those relievers did in game 3, to me, even more incredible. Like Will Klein,
Will Klein is the hero of the series.
But I just mean, that we didn't know that their brother's daughter had just died, the day before, that's where their heads were. And so then it was just sort of like, then they flew back to Toronto, another international flight. And I know no one's ever going to see the Dodgers as the underdog or poor them or whatever, but it was by far the best, the sweetest World Series win for the Dodgers of my lifetime, because it was just improbable. I mean, they were not the better team in that series, but the better team doesn't always win, as the Dodgers very well know from the last several postseasons.
Well, poor Blue Jays. I mean, in the sense of, they played great that series, but how many chances did they have to just win the series? Just flat out win the series. It looked like it was like, all right, this is it.
To be fair, though, the Dodgers also had 100 chances to win games or win the series. Like in the 18-inning game, Mookie I think had 5 chances
Right.
for a
But
walk-off
they won that
alone.
game. But they won that
I'm
game.
just
Yeah.
saying, like, it was a series of missed chances for both
It
teams,
was,
and so
but
obviously the team that loses is gonna feel it more.
But don't you think the Kike moment was I mean,
Yeah.
that's the series is over. I mean, it's second
Yeah.
and third and nobody out. Like they just have to score a run. It's over.
Yeah.
And that was
Quick,
great. And by the way, we haven't talked since that game. That Kike catch, which doesn't, I mean, it looks good when you see it. That's one of the all-time World Series catches.
Games 6 and 7 both ended on double plays
I
with
know.
the tying run on third base or go ahead run or whatever it was. The tying runs.
Go ahead and one.
Go ahead
and,
run
and
because it was top
tying
of
and the other. Yeah.
Insane.
Bottom of the inning, yeah.
Quick fact check. So game 1 in 2004, Yankees scored 2 in the first, 4 in the third, knocked Schilling out, then 2 more in the sixth. So they're up 8-0 in the top of the seventh. Red Sox score 5 times at the top of the seventh, then 2 more in the top of the eighth. It's 8-7. I think it's going to happen, guys. No, the Yankees scored 2 in the bottom of the eighth and win 10-7.
But I remember that being a pretty boring game, though.
It was so boring. It was really boring. Like at no point, it was one of those. It was in Yankee Stadium. It was game 1. At no point did Red Sox fans feel like, oh, we might win this.
I think I was there and do not remember it.
Really? Vera taking a home run off Tanyan Sturts.
Maybe I'm wrong. What was it that? It was
Hideki It was the Hideki Matsui game. I think he had like 5 RBI. He had 2 doubles.
I lived in New York at the time and was going to playoff games, but yeah.
Yeah, Musina started, gave up 4 runs in 6 2. God, Musina threw 6 2/3. That shows you how different playoff baseball is. Musina pitched 6 2/3. He would have pitched 4 1/3 in this day and age.
That was another reason why this World Series was so good, because the starting pitchers returned as main characters.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was great.
Like, I don't want to see. I mean, that I'm sorry to pick on the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. That World Series 2 years ago, the series on the line, it was like 2 guys I had never heard of. And
yeah, it's like the All-Star game.
That is a huge problem. If someone like me who has the baseball sickness, like barely knows Yamamoto against Vladimir Guerrero, though, in extra innings, and he's on 0 days rest. Oh my God. Like, sign me up. I don't care. And some people are like, well, yes, I want to see the rich. I want to see the best players. I want to see the $700 million hitter against the $325 million pitcher with everything on the line. Like, I am sorry, but
100%. 100%. All right, quick fact check. The Jays were down 2 with the tying run on second.
Right.
All right.
And then they had the tying run on third when he hit the double play. So,
Got it.
All right, time for one last meaningless thing to end this meaningless thing. And Mike, why don't you go first? We'll give Molly a minute to think up one.
We have Secret Santa going in our writers' rooms
already
here. Yeah, we this is why I bring this up. We have Secret Santa, and I'm working with my wife for the first time. My wife, JJ Phobin, is a writer and a showrunner herself, and she and I are collaborating for the first time on a show. And my wife loves Secret Santa more than anything in the world. And it's the most important. The show could totally fall apart. She wouldn't care. But if Secret Santa doesn't go well, and the interesting thing is that traditionally she was in like the Only Murders in the Building writers room for several years. Before that, she was in the New Girl room. And so they would draw names, and she would like spend every day with me, like walking the dogs, like talking out what she was going to do for her. This is not the Secret Santa that she does is not like, hey, you get a Barnes and Noble gift certificate or whatever. It's like a hyper intensive personalized present that tries in some way to capture the essence of who the person is. So you have to draw a name. We draw names after Labor Day, so that it's like you have 3 months to really like get to know the person and really focus on them and who they are and what they're all about. But in the past, she would talk it out with me. She would think about like, I need to get to know this person better and blah, 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 blah. But this year we're in the same room. So she can't, like, one of the main first rule of Secret Santa, you can't talk about Secret Santa.
No, yeah.
And I think it might break her. I think she's like calling friends in other states to like, just talk this out with me. This is the kind of person.
Wait, I have a question. If someone doesn't put this much effort into it and just gives a gift card, then what happens to that person?
It's not an option. This is no, you cannot opt out of this when you work with my wife. It's one of her most enraging and also endearing qualities. Is like,
has
It's
she
sacred.
ever gone all in on Secret Santa and then not gotten that in
That's what I'm
return for her own
yeah.
gift?
no, because you have to understand the spirit in which this is done. It's pure love and joy. It is a her main goal in life is to see other people, like truly see other people and have other people see each other.
Yes.
And Secret Santa is the way that she achieves this in writer's room. She just makes it so
Okay.
that it's all she has a speech that she gives to the room at the beginning where she's like, you're going to hate this. It's going to be stressful. You're going to curse my name. You're gonna wish you had never taken this job, but when it's over, it's gonna be the greatest thing that's ever happened, and it's totally true.
I love this.
At the end of the day, people are like, it's the most exhausting and beautiful experience of their lives because it really forces people to pay attention to each other and like understand them at a molecular level, and
Is
you
there a
don't just
price
like buy
limit?
what's that?
Is there a price limit?
Yes, there is a price limit of like $50, and most people ignore it. But the real thing though is that what you're doing is like it's the amount of thought that goes into it is thousands of dollars, which is where the real value is. So there are things that people get for each other that are not expensive, but they're just so personal. Like I give you one example. I have a woman I work with, she's very, very close with her grandfather, who's an elderly man in South Korea. And she's very, very close with him. And flies back and forth to South Korea all the time to see him. And she also loves the movie Paddington and Paddington 2 more than just about any other
Sure.
movie.
Sure.
And the person who had her last year commissioned like a little drawing, and the drawing was her and her grandfather and Paddington like hanging out
Oh
together.
my gosh.
And she opened it and started crying, and then I started crying, and then everyone started crying, and everyone was crying for like 45 minutes. And it's like that's what you're. It's like the person who had her needed to like get a picture of her grandfather and find an artist on Etsy
best.
who could do this. And I'm sure it costs more than $50, but it's like when that's what you're aiming at, like you can't just buy $25 gift certificate to, Barnes and
Yeah.
Noble. Doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is I'm worried about my wife.
I get
That
it.
was literally gonna be my idea, Mike. My idea was gonna be to go find someone's Instagram if they were a dog lover or cat lover, and find like the most cherished picture of their dog, and then
Sure.
have someone
Love it.
commission someone to draw it.
Love it.
I mean,
Love
that
it.
was my idea. So
All
if
right.
anyone needs an idea,
Molly, you got one real quick?
do I have to have
It's
what do
just
I have to do?
it's literally one last meaningless thing. It's whatever comes to mind, whatever
One
you want to
last,
say.
um,
You don't have to. I'll go.
go. I'll think.
I'll
Go
go.
ahead.
All right. So my one last meaningless thing is a quick double. Now that Mike just brought this up, I'm going to mention that the holiday draft is coming up,
Oh no.
and oh yeah, it's coming. And I got to tell you, I think we might just have a Secret Santa theme this year. I'm thinking this year might just be a little Secret Santa theme. I don't know exactly how to do it yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah,
might do
yeah.
that.
I like what you. I
I-
don't have. I would love for someone to interview Andy Pajes right now. That's it. I'm just thinking about what Andy Pajes is like eating for breakfast right now. Like, what's he gonna do next?
It's
How is
so-
he gonna impact the course of history next?
It's
Yeah.
so great.
That's
It's so great. All right, last real quick thought. Mike and I wrote a book together. I'm not even going to mess around with the whole who wrote a book thing. We wrote a book together. It is coming out May 19th, and we are in the middle of signing thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of books. And by middle of it, I mean, we haven't started, but we are
Correct.
signing thousands of books. We are going to do all sorts of specialty book things. We are going to have special messages. We're going to get special guests to sign books. If you would like to pre-order a signed book, there are multiple ways for you to do it. You can go to my website and see, but the main way is with Joseph Beth in Cincinnati. They are the ones having the big campaign where you can not only get a book signed, by the way, the book's name is Big Fan, and it is about what it means to be a fan. And if you want to not only get a signed book, but the possibility of getting one of these little, what would you call them, Mike? Treasures? Would you say?
Limited edition, special messages and special autographs and special things.
Yes, special little treasure type of things. Go to josephbeth.com and type in big fan, and you should be able to pre-order the book. I'm sure we'll talk about it more. Guys, I know Mike's got to go. Molly, Mike, great. Michael, as always.